Welcome to Audiogyan with Kedar Nimkar, a podcast that documents insightful conversations with Indian designers, artists, musicians, writers, thinkers, and creatives of all types. Catch us on iTunes or visit audiogyan.com for more Gyan sessions. Here's your host, Kedar Nimkar.
Welcome to a brand new series of Audiogyan in association with Bharat Flooring and Tiles. In the coming weeks, we'll be talking with various artists, heritage conservationists, brand creators, illustrators, and architects associated with Bharat Flooring and Tiles. It's a company formed in 1922 which is leader in quality cement flooring and has been primarily making customized handmade cement tiles. The timeless elegance and durability of these tiles make them work of art and invaluable part of the country's architectural heritage. It started as a part of Swadeshi movement, and with over 90 years of reputation, BFT is now most preferred choice of interior designers and architects across India. You can find relevant links in the show notes below. Today I have Aditya Mehta with us on Audiogyan. Aditya is the founder of Art&Found, a curated platform for invite-only artists to sell their work. He comes from an advertising background but found his passion in curating and selling artwork made by Indian artists. Today we are going to speak about Virtuoso collection with artists like Aniruddh Mehta, Shweta Malhotra, Suzanne, Pratap, Chalke, which emerged out of collaboration between Art&Found, Bharat Flooring and Tiles. We'll also speak about how different types of digital artworks exploring different materials and medium. So thank you, Aditya, for giving your time, and it's a real pleasure to have you on Audiogyan.
Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, we also have Firdos Varyawa, who's the vice chairman of Bharat Flooring and Tiles, and this is, I think, the last in the series of 5-part episode series which we are doing with Bharat Flooring and Tiles. So yeah, welcome and thank you, Firdos, for joining us.
Thanks, glad to be here.
So Aditya, coming to you, because I've come up with 4 to 5 questions, and obviously some of them are for Firdos and some of them are for both of you. But to just set the context, if you can tell us, what does Art&Found do and how did it start? What's the story behind it?
We're into everything art, from space styling to art projects and art for homes, offices, hospitality. So it's an invite-only platform for emerging Indian artists who use the platform to sell their work. So it's affordable, curated art. And we also work closely with brands for doing up spaces, using murals, installations, frames, or it could also be launching limited edition line of products into the existing product line. So that's pretty much what Art&Found is.
Mm-hmm. And I believe there are different types of ways also where you can buy stuff, right? You can rent it, you can have it. Is there any pattern to that?
So the main 2 models that we have are online. So it's a marketplace. You can go online and, browse through thousands of artworks, by a set of invite-only artists. And it's sold as unframed, framed, or canvas prints. And that's our main channel to buy online art. And then we also do like pop-up exhibitions or, galleries, very limited edition, once a month or maybe twice a month, properties that we have.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the other channel that, you can access us via. And the other model is the offline, where we do up entire spaces from homes to restaurants to offices. And this could be anything from frames, murals, installations.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And what made you get into this?
So it started as a side project while I was at Ogilvy as a senior art director. And I guess I was just surrounded by incredible art and, just artists and art directors and illustrators. I wanted to build a platform where they could not only showcase their work, but also sell it. Because on the other side, as a millennial, I wanted to buy art and own art, but it was inaccessible or, expensive. For me, it was about merging the two, that on one side, can all this amazing art be the art of our times that we could bring into our homes and offices and do our spaces with? On the other hand, it could be something that we could bring home. So I think it was just about bringing the two together, and that became Art&Found.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So I know you don't come from a really like the artistic background, but more like an entrepreneurial background. But if you can still, maybe we can do another episode with all the artists and you, what was the process like? But if you can just give us a broad outline about Like, how did this come about? I mean, Firdos can have more things to it, but what was the process like? What was the brief given to you, especially with Virtuoso collection, and how did it all happen?
So, apart from being an online platform for affordable curated art, we also proactively pitch brands for collaborations that have anything to do with art and design. How this project came about is because it's something that we had in mind. We had a very clear route that, it generally starts with like, what are the brands that I love? What are the brands that I follow or are doing something disruptive in their space? And does that fall into my purview of, home decor? Like Art&Found falls into the bigger umbrella of home decor and design. Bharat Tiles is one of those brands, and they're doing some amazing work. Can we, as a curator, do a collaboration that can be interesting for our artists, right? So that's where it, starts. That's where the idea really ignites.
Sure.
And from there, we're very clear about, what do we want to go with? It's not just, hey, can we do something interesting? Can we collaborate? That's a yes. Everyone wants to collaborate. I think what's important is to really refine your pitch and know what you're asking for. And we really refined it, and we prepared something before, going and meeting Firdos. So,
but it also happens with other people that it just, the why matches.
Yeah.
So you just brainstorm, you jam up, and you come up with new things. But in case of BFT, you're saying that because you knew your strength, you went it with a clear pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the bigger idea here is to, increase the value of art and design in India, and like how can we leverage these upcoming Indian artists that we're pushing and give them opportunities, because every new collaboration is an opportunity for our artists to come up with something interesting. And I think we're always looking to explore mediums, through these offline projects that we do. So a tile was a very interesting medium, for us and artists. Yeah, I think we came up with ideas. We came up with themes.
But this was with BFT or
with
internal?
BFT?
Oh.
No, so this was internal. There's a lot of internal work that went on, that we came up with themes that we thought, were relevant or topical. This could be
Market fit.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be. It could just be an abstract, but what's different? What's different from what BFT has already tried? So it's important to know what the brand is already doing. What's their collection like already? What have they done? But how are you coming in to give something different, right? So I think that's something that we really stress on. So there's a lot of that pre and work that goes in-house before we even do the first meeting. From there, it shortlists down to, okay, this is something interesting. Maybe can we explore this theme? Can we go deeper in it? Who are the artists that we're looking to get on board? And then, at some point, Firdos and Komal were... they saw merit in the project, and that's when we really started refining it and started talking to artists who would love to be on board. We also kept it very small, 4 artists, each known for their distinct style. Yeah, from then it goes on to, sketching, prototyping, coming up with the idea and refining it. And
overall theme, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I'm particularly interested because since you mentioned about changing the medium, because these artists are finally drawing on their Wacoms and Sketch and iPad and other places, right? Were there any particular challenges for you to translate that design into cement? Because finally it's going to be manifested as a tile, right? So what was the process like, and what were the interesting aspects of changing that digital .png or .sketch to a tile?
Yeah, I think there were 2 challenges that the artists faced. One is definitely most of them were digital artists. Doing something on a computer and then translating that onto a tile that's also on the floor. It is quite a leap for them to, make visually while they're thinking about the design, because most of them would know how it would translate onto the final medium. Like directors who know while they are shooting, they'll know the edit, right? Similar scenario. So in this case, none of them had done tiles. I think that was definitely something that they had to wrap their heads around. And the second thing is physically how to, translate that design onto the making of the tile. There, of course, we had, Bharat Tiles process making help that was able to do that. I think there are limitations in terms of, design and then technicalities of color, stroke work, thickness, etc. So I think, it's interesting that, push in terms of design, but you
Also
have
deal with the
constraints.
constraints,
Yeah. And I think sometimes that's like, that's the commercial way of doing art, but that's a challenge in itself that the artists really enjoyed.
Interesting. And for Firdaus, how did that, like, if you can tell the challenges from your side, because
So actually, I think
digital files, right?
Yeah, these were the first challenge was, of course, training the artists to see how we see, because they look at the world in a different way. So training them how our process works, how do our tiles get made. I think we had quite a detailed session with them in the showroom and showed them, the process. So that was one thing. The second thing was that they came up with a lot of designs, and then basically we also interacted with them to refine those designs based on what we can actually produce. They came up with themes first. It was more like that. They said, okay, look, these are some of the themes we can come up with. And then from there, we kind of moved into the design. So it was like really step by step. So it wasn't challenging. I think also having somebody who had worked with both Art&Found and with, who was working with us, we had a common link. So he understood both sides of the equation. This was our in-house designer, Ashwin. So he understood both sides of the equation. So he was able to explain to both sides, like this is what we want and this is how we can do it. So in the end, it wasn't like so painful as we thought.
No, my main
Yeah,
question was
quite,
actually towards like there would be some sort of a limitation within the material itself also, like cement.
Right.
It can maybe, like as Aditya pointed out, the thickness of the lines.
Right. Yeah.
Were there any constraints? We can't go so fine, or you can't go so.
True.
So if you bloat it, then probably after drying it up, it will look different. So any insights there?
That's part of our normal process, is that usually people associate anything patterned with printing, and that's a very different process. We're not printing tiles. We're making tiles using a filling into a mold. So, the mold has certain limitations, and what we do is that when we get usually designs, we have to broaden the lines. We have to explain to them that this is why. So I think the first round we had a lot of designs which were very fine. Then we kind of like went from there and said that now we'll revise those, and that's how it works. So it was like not so bad. It was quite workable.
Interesting. I would like to know both the sides. How did the artists respond to that? I mean, because they would, from Aditya's side, these guys were venturing into something different, and from your side, the artisans or the worksmen or the people who are actually creating. So Aditya, if you can start, like, what was the response from the artist?
I think for them, it's always exciting to explore different mediums than they already are. And tiles is something that they had not explored before. In fact, one of the artists, she had already tried previously to approach Bharat Tiles and tried something that didn't work out. But she was, just incredibly happy that we put together something that would finally work out.
Which
Shweta
one was this?
Malhotra.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think she had tried. So that's what she told me later on. And
that's cool.
Yeah, I think it's all about that, that package, right? Like, and like the proposal, as I said, like, it's got to come together for it to be something that, they can be part of and push. So I think definitely for the artists, one is the excitement of, tile as a medium that they've not explored. And then, every artist, even though how a lot of, their work may be digital, they still love the, hand feel of it. And Bharat Tiles had the process of handmade tiles, so for them to come in and, see the existing collection, understand the process, all of that really helped. Yeah. And
I'm sure like a lot of learning there.
A lot of learning, yeah.
And Firdaus, how did your team of people who executed respond to that?
So I think that the mold makers certainly had a very fun time because, they make all the molds by hand. So I think that, they also find it interesting when such designs come along that are challenging. Otherwise, normally our designs are quite simple and straightforward. But the Art&Found designs were a little more complicated. They had more form. So the mold makers definitely had to work with their craftsmanship to make the molds out of brass. Each of our molds is handmade by in brass, so they twist the brass and all that. And I think they took a while because the designs are very beautiful. They had to basically really bring out that form into the patterns. So that was one thing. The second thing was also at the factory level when producing the tiles, the color combinations and things like that. That was something where a lot of inputs were required from our end because, we kind of like have some norms that this kind of colors work or this colors don't work. So those kind of feedbacks were there from the
or
factory.
producible also, right? I mean,
once the shapes are done and we know that okay, this can be produced, this shape can be produced, then we go into the colors, like what colors will work well in this shape. Because that's a big factor nowadays. People are always looking at colors and colorways and things like that. So that was the second level of challenge. And then the last part was that basically how do we promote this and make this available in an attractive way to everyone. So I think that was...
Yeah, to get into the details of it, one of the artists... So generally a tile would be designed to create a pattern. So you create one... and
it's an 8 by 8
the four.
inch
Yeah, correct. Right, you have the 4 tiles that make a pattern, right?
Yeah.
One of the artists, Shweta Malhotra, she sort of broke that process and her design did not make symmetry. It created abstract form.
Yeah.
And that was challenging for BFT to produce. But, we made it happen. Her pattern would be formed by juxtaposing tiles the way you would want to. You don't have to stick to the, process of 4 tiles that make symmetry and then, you repeat the pattern.
But when you zoom out, it's still fully abstract or...
it's still fully abstract because it's... imagine polygons that aren't matching on the second tile or fourth tile,
So
or
there's
third
actually
tile.
infinite variation that can come because you're like changing you can change both so the tiles had some variations and then you could also change the orientation of the tile.
Yeah, you could juxtapose it however you want, create new patterns.
Yeah.
I'll have to show you, to visually see like what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like a mosaic almost.
It's like a mosaic almost, which you can create very easily.
Yeah. So, that's an interesting thing for an artist, to be able to even break that rule and then see if that's possible. So I guess like a lot of that, where we try and push them to, do something that can be different. And again, that comes from like, if we're coming on board to do the series, we want to, I remember telling Firdaus specifically, like in our 3rd or 4th meeting, that we want to do this because we want to push what you guys have, been doing.
Right.
Otherwise, what's the point of this collaboration? So let's see how much we can push and like, let's see how much we can push you, Like,
yeah, true.
Yeah.
That's really true.
So I think like that was like a bit maybe scary, but also like, let's try it.
Interesting,
Yeah.
What were the final deliverables from your side? Were those printouts? Were those...
So
because as you mentioned,
Yeah.
it was done like brass. So I'm assuming like some Karagir is sitting and there is like a printout and he's trying to match that. Or
So-
was it like
Right.
some sort of a...
So, I mean, from our side, it's digital files, which then, the negative is taken to create a mold, I'm assuming. Right.
Yeah.
And then, as he said, there was a lot of color combinations. And that was like, a very exciting part where artists will again see
Right.
certain
Yeah.
color combinations digitally, what looks great and, what appeals to them. Color is very personal. And on this side, they have to, take care of like what can work when you actually lay it out, when you lay out like 50 tiles, when
Right.
it can't be too overpowering. Can you go mellow on the color palette and so on? Yeah, from our side, it's the digital files which can then turn into molds and then, colors are filled and so on.
In fact, we found out during the mold making process that one of the molds was made ulta. But because of the fact that it was an abstract design, so it didn't actually matter. Like,
It works, yeah.
I remember
Experiment.
the factory guys telling me that ek mold ulta hai, abhi kya kare? I said, it's
a
fine.
variation in
it's
design, man.
Perfectly fine, yeah.
Yeah.
It looks okay.
Yeah, and
I remember one painting which my boss gave it to me and he's from JJ, he did some
Mm.
abstract paintings.
Yeah.
And I said, boss, like, please sign it.
Yeah.
It's a great piece of art.
Upside down.
And he signed it upside down. And then he turned it again. Sorry, this is way.
Yeah.
So we had like multiple
Yeah,
scratches
multiple
backside.
scratches.
Yeah.
Sorry, this way up, this way up. And yeah. It would be really great if we can have one more episode with the artist as well, because
Yeah.
everyone is very peculiar about what color it needs to finally come out as, right?
Yeah.
So is it vermilion red, or is it terracotta, or is it like bright red? What exactly red it is? So how was the response between the two teams? How did that collaboration happen? Ki sometimes the artist has to let go, ki theek hai, because it's not possible with that medium itself. On the other hand, you as an artist, you try to get it as close to as he or she has envisioned.
Yeah, I mean, on my side, it's, getting what the artists want to have as their designs and color combinations and stuff, because they've sort of envisioned the design in a certain way that makes sense in terms of color palette. For example, one of the designs was contemporary terrazzo, and that's a contemporary take on the classic terrazzo style. Very, very interesting take. I think that was one of the most liked ones in the series. Now, the color palette for that, the artist envisions something that has maybe like a classic or retro feel. Maybe those colors may not work for the end product, when you put the tiles. Maybe it needs to be slightly more mellow. So definitely like that balance is something that I have to tackle, where maybe it changes on this side, but then I have to go back and, convince the artists why, and, give that reasoning why, and so on. So definitely there is a lot of that as curators, that we have to have that balance and...
of maintaining your standards, yet having that collaboration happen also.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
So that's something that's more challenging at a later point, to get the artists to understand the limitations and reason behind why something may have changed,
This seems like a win-win situation for overall engagement. So Firdaus, this one's mainly for you. So can you tell us like who all were empowered through this and at what levels? Maybe, I mean, I can understand Art&Found's people, like there are 4 designers plus him and other folks, but in your company?
Our own designers were empowered by this, because till now, I think that they weren't so involved in most of the tile processes. But here there was a lot of involvement of our own designers as well. Like I mentioned, Ashwin was working with Art&Found and other stuff, so he was really involved in the process. I think he was quite invested in the outcome. So he did work a lot with the designers, with the artists. He put together a lot of effort into choosing the right patterns, because actually, the ones that right now have been produced are shortlisted from so many that the artists produced. So, Ashwin was really empowered. He was feeling very invested that I have to get this right and really make it beautiful. So I think it was a big learning experience for him also.
When I mean other people got impacted in a positive, negative way, whatever way it is. But the question is, since you're dealing with like a legacy, like a 1922 born thing, right? So there are certain prejudices, there are certain baggage which people come with. So how did you evangelize that this is going to change something, and what was your pitch to your people, right? That's also very critical.
Honestly, I think it was more like a pitch to myself that we can work with artists, because it was a new direction to explore. Henceforth, we would definitely explore people who are just generally good at their art, or generally good at something apart from maybe being in the specific sphere of interior design. I think that was one big shift, that we had.
Yeah, I think seeing that value in art and how that can fit into what your business objective is what I guess that's he had to grapple with and come to terms. And I think that's what we push for every time.
Sure.
It's not just art, but it's also like how it can
it's practical art.
Yeah, it's a functional, right?
Functional art. Correct.
So and I guess we timed it perfectly well, because we were all we all had our eyes on India Design Week, and then Decode was around the corner. So I think the launch was, I'd like to talk a little bit about that, where the launch was just in time to get the collection out to be displayed at India Design Week to start with. And then, these guys got it to Decode, and the display at Decode was also very interesting, where it was a little more interactive. People could come in, see each tile. Yeah, also the inspirations, like we had objects and products that inspired the collection. For example, there was a seascapes collection. So there was like little tetrapods, product design weight, paperweight that had waves on it and stuff like that. The brushstrokes series had, just bunch of brushes and paints and so on. So I think we just upped the game and, display and experience.
Sure.
And I guess now the workshops that, tile making workshops they do, like there's, it's a much more intimate experience, there.
What did the artists feel about the range? I mean, did they have any comments about it, the experience?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to do like another, episode bringing the artists in because, they have so much, they have so much to talk on. Each of them like would have their own insight and challenges and like approach because they're all very different,
inspiration
artists.
points.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah.
Cool. I think this is a good note to end this. One last question, mainly what's the future? I mean, are you looking for more collaborations? This is mainly for Aditya. And what's the trajectory of Art&Found? And then maybe I'll move to the last question for those. Yeah.
So we're at a stage right now where we're looking to scale our product line, frames or canvases or prints to original art and objects of art. For me, the vision is to build Art&Found as the go-to platform for everything interiors and decor styling related in terms of product line. And that's for the, marketplace. That's constantly evolving. And yes, collaborations, again, very selective, very strategic. Definitely that, keeps going. And we're always looking to reach out to brands that may be interested in, doing something different. It's always, it's on.
Yeah, sure. And Firdaus, are you like looking for another series or maybe another set of artists? Maybe another Art&Found, I don't know.
I think so, yeah. I think we should do an episode 2 of Art&Found with them, get some more artists and make it maybe a yearly thing. Because really it adds a lot of value. I think the designs are very fresh and beautiful. Everyone who sees them really likes them. So I think it's quite a value added to the company.
Yeah. And the best part is, which I find at least, is it's indigenous. It's made by Indian artists and Indian thought process, Indian context.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're always looking forward to collaborations because, every project is an opportunity for an artist to experiment, create something that maybe breaks the medium that they're already working within. For them, it's about exploring, boundaries. And I think it's incredible that brands like Bharat Tiles sees the value in taking a risk, like this, which can really put curator brand like Art&Found into the space that's, upcoming and giving artists opportunities. So like these 4 artists have now gotten a platform at not just in store, but also at India Design Week and at Decode and this podcast. And, I think we got like featured in Home Trends and a couple of articles and stuff. So I think that's great. It's great for an ecosystem to thrive when it's not just artists that are trying and pushing and striving, but also brands who can support that. That's when the magic is. And that's where and we're at that point right now. We're at that, just that wave is just picking up in India, where this new wave of artists moving from traditional art,
just freelance.
Moving from a lot of that modern art, traditional art to this, you've interviewed some of these guys.
Yeah. Cool. If people have to follow Art&Found, what's the best way? And also, I believe there's a / submit your artwork or like some link where artists can come and submit their pitches.
Yeah, so you can find us at www.artandfound.co. That's ARTANDFOUND.co. And on Instagram also artandfound.co. Artists can reach out to us, via a link on the website. There's a sign up, request, invite code link because we're an invite only platform. So that's where you can reach out. Instagram's our strongest one. So I think, that'd be great.
Cool. Yeah, let's see what the more episodes related to BFT and integration can happen. But I think we'll be having this sort of a series again. So to conclude this 5-episode series. I would like to thank Firdos for giving Audiogyan this opportunity to interview a few people who have worked with. And I mean, it was great having this collaboration.
True.
And if
Very
people
true.
have to...
Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and if people have to follow Bharat Flooring and artists have to join you, what's the best way to connect?
So I would say, obviously, the website is the best place to find our work, bharatfloorings.com. But apart from that, you can also reach out to us on Instagram. I think nowadays the most preferred means of communicating is send us a message on Instagram and we'll get back to you. I think that would be the best way to do things.
Thank you guys for giving your time, and it was wonderful talking to you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Enjoyed
Great
it.
to hear. Enjoy
Okay,
this.
Bye. Thank you. That's it.
And that's it from today's Gyan session. Catch us on iTunes, Savan, Stitcher, or any podcasting app you use. Do rate us on iTunes and follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Stay tuned for more Gyan on Audiogyan.com. Till then, bye.